guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee! Coffee, 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 coffee!
God damn, Jimmy. That's some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on us.
Yeah, gourmet shit. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Good morning, everybody. Hey, there's a big logo on me. Let's get rid of that. So this reminds me of a joke. A Venezuelan combat medic and a federal prosecutor walk into a bar. And you get this show. Ladies and gentlemen, even though it says Dork Nightly, I'm going to change that to Mr. O'Connell.
This is out of sync.
Oh.
Oh, you could say Tom. That'd be fine.
Tom.
Yeah.
Tom O'Connell. I do believe that's Irish.
Oh, yeah. Grandparents off the boat. And now, whole deal. My mother was one of 7 kids, and my grandmother had 24 grandkids all together, and everybody's from the Bronx. It's a good time when everybody was together, but people are all over the place now.
You're East Coaster.
Correct.
I can tell by your accent.
Yeah.
I'm an East Coaster too, but I'm from lower state. I'm from Virginia. And I'm what's referred to as 88% Celtic and 12% adopted Celtic.
Okay.
One German fucked his way into our family, and I got stuck with his name.
Did you do the genetic thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm almost all I am is Welsh, Irish, and Scottish, and a little bit of French and German. And majority of the people in my family's names had Crales, McWilliams, Jenkins, like just tons of Irish, Welsh people.
Yeah. Do you know any of them or any of them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in Ireland for like 2 years.
Oh, really?
And came back, and it was hard to come back here because, wow, Ireland is so different. And I always wanted to go back. In fact, I've told everybody that I like to retire in Ireland, just live there and hang out in a pub. And one day somebody goes, I don't think he's asleep. I think he's dead.
Well, do you have a grandparent from Ireland? If you do, you can get Irish citizenship.
No, I can't.
Oh.
My great aunt is from Derry, Ireland. And she's the one who named me, which is why I get so frustrated with my name, because everybody wants to call me Gerry.
Yeah.
No, it's Gerry.
Yeah, I saw that.
Stupid Irish aunt.
I laughed when I saw the it's Gerry G, not Gerry J, because it's two of my favorite fighters. Gerry G. Cooney,
yeah.
Gerry J. Quarry.
And Quarry, heck yeah, man. Okay, I know there's a 10-year gap in our age, but we apparently like a lot of the same fighters.
Yeah, well, I met Quarry many times, and I was a huge fan. And Cooney, I used to box with. So he and I were buddies for a while back in the old days.
Yeah, you did some boxing too.
Yeah, boxing, college wrestling. I even took Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu after I retired for a little bit over at Couture's extreme couture.
Oh yeah.
Scary.
I studied a style called Kachukimbo. I did
Don't
that.
know. Don't know that.
It's an interesting style. It's actually been around since '47, and it was really a precursor to Jeet Kune Do. It was a style of art that was mixed martial arts, and shut up, cat. Not my cat. Anyway,
Does your cat bite? Never mind.
no, but
This is a joke.
oh, the old joke.
Close up.
Yeah. Does your dog bite? My dog does not bite.
Yeah.
Dog bites him and he goes, I thought you said your dog does not bite. He goes, that is not my dog.
Exactly.
But Danny, hello. Are you frozen or what? You look like an inmate this morning. You look
White
like somebody that
supremacist.
Tom incarcerated.
Oh,
Not at all.
Yeah.
You guys are too funny.
yeah.
I'm just
You're funny
just letting
looking.
letting you get acquainted with Tom.
Yeah, this is what a messed up morning. Both of us, man, I'm just waking up. I'm like, Danny literally woke me up. I'm like, what the
Me
fuck
too.
do you want? And I think he did the same thing with you. It's like, holy
Yep.
shit. Yeah, but
That's because
wanna
I didn't
thank-
know. I didn't know today was Thursday, so it's
Yeah, the week goes by so quickly. I work 7 days a week, so my days really do mix. Because, like I said, I'm working on a comic book. I'm so pissed. I'm on an NDA. I can't talk about this comic I'm working on.
No. Yeah, well, I work 0 days a week, which means it doesn't really matter what day it is. So I don't usually.
Well, you had a
bother keeping
lifelong of fucking people's lives up that deserved it.
track. Yes,
So,
that was the goal.
and I kind of like that. I'm a big fan of law enforcement to begin with, and I mean, you went from being a cop to a prosecutor and federal prosecutor. In fact, did you do any work with the FBI?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, did you actually work in the FBI? Is what I meant.
No. The FBI is a separate agency within the Department of Justice from the U.S. Attorney's offices. But I mean, most of our cases, yeah, we worked with all the agencies. Of course, the FBI is the giant agency, which all the other agencies hate. ATF, Secret Service, DEA. I'm generalizing a bit, but so most of our cases were with the FBI just because they were far bigger than the others.
Exactly. Now, how did you go from being a police officer to working as a federal prosecutor?
Well, in between, I became a local prosecutor, an assistant
Up in New
DA.
York, or
Yeah, and I got there because my wife had put me through law school. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I don't like most lawyers, and so I became a cop. My father was a cop. My grandfather was a cop. My son is a cop, and in her words, I was having way too much fun. So she said, I put you through law school so you could be a lawyer. So I was solicited by the DA's office and I took it. And I said, well, this isn't as bad as being a lawyer. It's better than that, but good enough for her,
Yeah, it's like who doesn't remember those jokes about lawyers? Like
oh God, yeah. The only thing worse than lawyers is law students, subverting each other, and it's like the paper chase. I mean, my school was sort of like that. They'd give you a research thing, and when you finally got to the right book, the case was razored out. Just already ruthless.
My favorite joke, Robin Williams made it in the movie Hook, was the labs are starting to use lawyers to do experiments on because there are some things even a rat won't do. And then, like, one of my favorites was how did that go? Oh yeah, Black and yellow and a crying shame. A busload of lawyers going over a cliff with an empty seat.
Yeah. So it was fun being a DA back there because I knew so many cops, having been one.
Right.
I was kind of their advocate, and I think they appreciated it. And, you know, particularly cops involving, or I should say cases involving, you know, a lawsuit, brutality claim, this, that, the other, which I was subjected to myself. You know,
Right.
I worked as hard as I could. It was a bit, there was a bit of gamesmanship going on with some of the lawyers too. So one of the key witnesses in the case, I found out had a warrant, and this was going to be a key defense witness. So I told the cops, I just saw a couple guys in plain clothes milling around the courthouse. And when he shows up, pop him. I'll never forget the lawyer going, "You wouldn't believe this. My witness just got arrested." I was like, "No shit. Wow. It's too bad."
So what was your main drive? I mean, obviously, you know, enforcing on, and I'm assuming that you said your father was a cop too, right?
Yeah, and grandpa.
And grandpa. So it's in the blood.
And my son. Four generations.
It's so common. It's like I don't know what it is, man. Because like all my kids are artists. My dad was not an artist, but my dad was an engineer, and drafting was part of what he did. And he was a designer, and he's got patents for things he designed for Mueller's, like the self-tapping pipe, still being used today. You know, and so, you know, design and art is in our bloodline, and both my parents are artists, so I was doomed. In fact, my mother joked, he was born with a pencil in his hand. And I said, and apparently it was damn painful. But
I could claim to be an artist, a bullshit artist.
Bullshit artist.
Yeah.
Well, you got to, because, I mean, one, you're Irish. We're typically, you know, we're good at the blarney, you know, the Irish. And so you're good at communication and good at telling stories. But in being a police officer and a lawyer, you have to be able to form stories into an idea and take that idea and direct a person with that idea. And, you know, because, look, man, even though I never became a lawyer, I've got a lot of friends who are lawyers, and I am fascinated with law. I always have been. And I grew up watching law enforcement shows. Adam 12 is still one of my favorite shows of all time. Perry Mason, I actually sleep to Perry Mason. Did you ever watch those shows growing up?
You just picked two that I did not happen to like. You talk about like Me TV. Is that the channel you watch this stuff on?
I have Pluto TV.
Okay.
Where it's 24 hours a day of those shows.
I watch Highway Patrol.
I love
Broderick
that show.
Crawford.
Broderick Crawford, man. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually hilarious. It's good and hilarious. But I'm into a couple of Westerns because they usually have a moral theme, particularly The Rifleman. The guys that wrote that show, they wanted to have a sort of a moral message each episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did a really great job. By the way, his real name is Kevin Aloysius Connors.
Yeah. I remember learning that. It's like, you know, because are you a bit of a cinephile?
Not really. Nah, you know, I don't. I like the old movies better than today's.
Oh, ditto. Ditto. I'm a fan of classic movies more than anything. But I am an absolute. My partner that does the show on Fridays and Saturdays with me, Keith, that's how we became friends. Is we have a vast knowledge of cinema, especially classic films. But I love television, and I don't know. Crime shows were always my favorite things to watch, and I loved Adam 12 because they tried to be as realistic as possible for TV back
Yeah.
then. Police Story was another one. Anything by Wamba. Yeah, I love Wamba.
I got all his books.
Yeah, the first movie adaptation of his was The Blue Knight, as I recall, wasn't it?
I think it was The New Centurions.
The New Centurions. That's it, with George Kennedy.
George Kennedy played the character. I forget his name, but that was The Blue Knight.
Yeah, Blue Knight. And then George C. Scott was in The New Centurions. And even a young, Poncherello from Chips was in there too, before he had his teeth fixed.
Was he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he played one of the young cops. I think he gets killed in the movie. But it's a good film.
Speaking of him, there's a hilarious episode of Chips where they pull over Broderick Crawford.
Yes. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
And of course, back then people were old enough to, they remembered the 50s going into the early 60s and Robert Crawford.
Hey guys, is this better? Did it get rid of the echo? I just moved location.
I got rid of the echo earlier.
Oh, okay.
I have control over your sound.
Oh, now you're talking about the Outer Limits.
Yeah, that's Danny. But because you were born in 54, you're exactly 10 years. What month were you born?
January.
You're even older. You're a few months older. I'm May. But
a decade and a few months.
Yeah, you were born the same year as my middle oldest sister, Susan. And I'm from a big Irish Jewish family. I'm the only, I used to joke, I'm the only Irish Catholic out of a family of 6 Jews, because all my siblings had Jewish dad, and my mother converted to Judaism. And then she met my dad and popped me out.
Well,
most of them converted to Catholicism too.
Speaking of that, James Cagney, who's probably my favorite all-time actor.
Oh yeah.
In a few of his movies, he employs Yiddish because he grew up in Yorkville, which was a mix of Irish and Jewish.
Irish-Jewish.
Yeah. And he used to come home from church. After church, when I was a kid, there'd be on Channel 5 in New York, a Warner Brothers classic, like all the Cagney stuff in particular. That's when I really fell in love with him. And his whole, they called it the, I don't know, they had some name for the Irish guy. Him and Pat O'Brien and Frank McHugh and Alan Hale Jr. Or anyway, the guy from Gilligan's Islands, his father. Anyway.
Yeah, Alan Hale Sr. Yeah. He was in, he played Little John in Errol Flynn's Robin Hood.
Oh, yeah. Sounds familiar. I remember that movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. I even have books about Cagney. I even thought about trying to visit him. He had a farm somewhere in Dutchess County, upstate New York.
Yeah.
I really thought seriously about dropping in. I never got around to it, And I wasn't quite sure if he'd appreciate it, Yeah,
because a lot of those guys really do love their privacy.
Yeah.
And so I'm the same way as you. I have celebrities that live near me here in Springfield, Missouri area. And ironically, I never thought I'd ever live here. I was in the Army and I went through basic training at Fort Leonard Wood. And first thing I ever said about any place in my life, I told one of my best friends in the Army, I'm like, I hate this fucking state. I don't ever want to fucking live here. What a terrible fucking state. Like 1 minute it's just hot as fuck. The next minute it's tornadic storms rolling in with lightning rolling across the entire sky. I said, this place is crazy.
We went to a wedding a couple of years ago. We went to a wedding in Kansas City. And I think it was literally 100 degrees. And it was as humid as a bastard. And oh man.
The joke here is if you don't like the weather in Missouri, wait a minute, it'll change.
Yeah. We actually, I think the church was in Kansas and the reception was in Missouri.
Yeah, I always call Missouri like most of my wives crazy. And but like you, I grew up on the East Coast. I hated New York, only because I went there. The one time I went to New York City was during a trash strike,
Oh God.
and it was
Yeah.
right in the middle of Son of Sam too. And I left the city, and I told my dad, I don't ever want to go back there. That was terrible.
What year? What year was Son of Sam? I'm trying to think.
That was 77 when I was there.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the Yankees in the World Series, and there's a lot going on.
My son likes going there, my eldest boy. But I just I never went back. I'm like, no. I went there and it was just awful. The stink, trash piled up, like it was crazy.
Well, yeah. Okay. What about if there's no garbage strike? It's actually.
I
really
know, but that's the
nice.
problem. Is it got into my head,
Yeah.
and it made me not want to go back there.
You have to be a millionaire, though. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know, hotels are $400 a night, and everything.
Ridiculous. Oh yeah.
So we've been back a few times and stayed in Manhattan a couple of times, and holy shit, it's a lot of money.
Well, what's it like living in Vegas now for you compared to growing up there in New York?
Okay, well, I hate the Strip and everything associated with it. So we live in a little bubble. We raised our kids in Green Valley, which is a beautiful suburb. And when we moved out here in '90, all the schools were new, the houses were brand new, the stores were brand, everything was new, and everybody was from somewhere else and very friendly and everything. It's changed since then, but even then, I just I loved going back home and coaching little league and soccer and everything. And but the Strip, I of course saw the real scummy side of the Strip, and don't enjoy it at all.
Do you think it's changed much?
Well, when we moved out here, and I started in the U.S. Attorney's Office in '90, and much different place. And in '89, late '89, Steve Wynn opened the Mirage, and that was the beginning of all the mega resorts, as they call them. New York, the MGM, the Luxor, on and on and on. And so now, the Strip looks nothing like it did when we moved here. The only big, magnificent place was the Mirage with the volcano, and he had his dolphin show and Siegfried and Roy. And even when you registered at the desk, there was a giant aquarium behind, the desk clerks with sharks. It was just tremendous. And from there, Vegas exploded. Much different.
I went to Vegas for the very first time when I was in my late 30s, and I'd always wanted to go there. And there was already so much was changing from what my dad described of the place. And my favorite thing, and I can't even remember what hotel it was they had this water fountain show to Frank Sinatra. And I'm like, that was amazing.
Not the Bellagio.
Was that the Bellagio?
Bellagio is a giant fountain that's synchronized with music.
God, I love that. Because I can listen to Frank Sinatra all day long. And did you get to see Sinatra while you were there?
I didn't, but on Mother's Day, I think '93, my parents came out, and I surprised them. I got them a room at the Desert Inn and tickets to see Frank, who my mother had seen as a kid at the Paramount in New York, and she just loved Frank. So they had a ball, and my father ran into his security detail somehow at the hotel, which were all ex-cops. I think he said Chicago cops, not New York. But my mother said my father bullshitted with these guys for hours. So they had a great time. I'm really glad I did it.
I think the best thing for my grandmother, she got to see Don Rickles in Vegas. And it was so funny because I'm a huge Don Rickles fan.
Oh,
and,
he's hilarious.
She came back from Vegas. She went there with the girls, the broads, the old broads, she called them, and came back and she goes, that Mr. Rickles, he talks naughty.
Oh, I can imagine when he's
She was expecting
off
Carson
TV.
Don Rickles, but
Yeah,
she got
right,
live Don Rickles. It was like a little blue.
I'm not really into shows, but a friend of mine came out and got tickets to go see George Carlin, who I thought was hilarious back when I was a kid, and he was new. But man, he was just an angry, bitter guy. He just wasn't really funny, and he just seemed to like mock everything from like the Boy Scouts to and like anything decent. He was just sort of a.
What year was this?
Oh, it's probably 10 years ago or more than that. Anyway, so I got him left. I said to my wife, you can stay here with the other couple. I said, I'm not going to listen to this guy. So I went, it was a bar adjoining the theater. I forget which casino it was in. And there's a guy at the bar. And I said, yeah, I just came out. This guy, George Carlin's kind of an asshole. He goes, yeah, I walked out too. So we were of the same mind with respect to Carlin.
Yeah, he became very bitter in the end.
He did.
Yeah, and in fact, there is one where you can only actually hear the audio now because the video capture of the entire show has been lost, and I think on purpose because it was so bad. And it was from like a year to 2 years before he died. And other comedians talk about it. It's like, what happened to him?
That I've never heard that, and most people when I tell them what I just told you, kind of look at me funny, like, what? I said, well, I'm just telling you, man. The guy was annoying. He was just offensive, not the dirty words or any of that stuff, but attacking sort of institutions that I think were very good for our country and our kids and everything. I don't know what happened to him. Yeah,
well, I mean, early on, I don't want to get too deep into Carlin, but Carlin was always anti-establishment. He hated anything about this country that was established on anything moral, because he didn't like anything that was moral. That he built his entire career off of that.
Yeah,
if it wasn't pro weed, pro doing whatever you wanted to do, he was against it. But I don't know. I agree with you. He just became kind of ugly near the end, and hard to listen to. Which is why that one show I told you about, they've lost the video. You can still hear audio of it, and when you hear it, it's like, what the fuck is he saying?
Yeah,
he even said at the end, he says, at this point, I don't have a political view. I just think the whole world's going down the drain, and I'm just going to step back and watch it. That was something he actually said.
A nihilist, or
very much a nihilist. Yeah.
Yeah. When he was young, it was fun, and I was young. He had a lot of funny stories about like Catholic school and the nuns and all this. I thought that was funny. Yeah, I went through all that.
Ditto. I went to Catholic school and hate nuns. I hate nuns to this day. Still can't stand them.
You see, now that's what I have to stand up. A lot of people say that the nuns, you got to think of it. They devote their whole lives, many to teaching, the nursing, and celibacy and everything. And they're really good people for the most part.
I guess you'd have to be married to God, isn't that their thing?
Well,
shut up, Danny.
You know what? He's in another room. Otherwise, I might strike him.
You might knock the shit out of him. Well, see,
blow.
Like I had 3 nuns that I couldn't stand. I was terrified of one of them. In fact, the first time I ever went to therapy, we had to talk about bullies, and they said, "Did you have any bullies in school?" I said, "Oh yeah."
They all look like penguins.
Yeah, they all look like penguins. I had this one nun that she was Italian, and I can't remember her name to this day.
Oh, it was Sister Mary something.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. They're all Sister Mary somebody.
She used to say this to me: "Testidora escuch," and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. She would rap me on the head. She would rap me like my dad with that one knuckle. She'd rap me. And What pissed me off was I'm a very evocative person, and I if you notice I enunciate, and on top of that I evoke, and automatically assumed I was being sarcastic because I did that. No matter what I said, I get wrapped, and I'm like, no, I'm being sincere. I meant it. You know. Finally, I got to a point where it's like I just do things just to get whacked. You know, I did the filling my bony belly with dominoes once in front of one of the sisters. Filling my bony belly with dominoes. Doing the mock Latin.
In 8th grade, parenthetically, I remember the entire Latin Mass. I was a Latin altar boy.
Jesus, tickle trunks. Oh my God.
And when we go to church, we don't go regularly. My responses in my head are all in Latin. I still remember.
Yeah, see, you were old school. I was right at the transition where they were, you know, the Second Vatican Council had decided to stop doing the Mass in Latin.
Yeah.
So I remember Latin, and I, you know, when I was younger, I spoke really bad Catholic Latin. And of course, my first wife, that's what she teaches. She teaches Latin. College level.
I think all kids should be taught Latin. That's another topic.
I agree with you. I loved it. I missed learning that stuff. But you know what? I've been enjoying talking to you so much. I forgot to say good morning to all of our audience. So I need to say good morning to our friends who are here. Let me go back to the beginning. Let's see. The lovely Sherry showed up. Oh my God. I haven't seen you in like a billion fucking years. Well, of course, you know, I've told myself a million times, don't exaggerate. Penny is here. That is Dork Knight's mom. Do you know Penny, Tom?
Negative.
Oh, his mom. What I love about his mom is she comes to watch my show before she'll watch Danny's. She will go check in with Danny just to put the like, and then she'll leave and come over to watch us.
Maybe it's better. I don't know.
We are a better show.
Yeah.
I think what he does over with Salty Nerd is really good. But I think Penny likes the fact that Keith and I are older guys, so we're less apt to sound like young idiots.
Well, you know, Danny knows this. I'm probably the only person in America who did a podcast and never, ever watched or listened to a podcast. And I'm just not into podcasts, and I'm terrible with, you know, technical shit, which is why I need Danny to do anything.
Which is why he's at my house right now.
It's just, he calls me and he says, yeah, I'll email you my address. Just GPS it. I just started laughing. I said, you really think I have a GPS? He says, yeah, don't you have one on your phone? Well, I don't know. Maybe. First of all, where is my phone? Does it have any power, any juice? Is it on mute? You know, it's of almost no value to me.
Yeah,
because I'm ignorant.
You're like the only friend of mine in my phone that has a landline. Like I have, like, because I got better luck catching you on that thing than your cell phone.
Well, I got to tell you, I was the same way. I didn't get my first mobile phone until I was in my 40s because it was required for some of the work I do. That some of my clients had to be able to get a hold of me even when I was out and about. And I'm like, that's what I love the landline. I said, you only get a hold of me when I'm fucking home. But now clients don't want that. We want to be able to get a hold of you all the time.
But you know what? Nobody's ever available. Everybody's always leave a message. You push this. Or better to listen to old prompts because they've changed. And then nobody answers. Leave a message. Nobody gets back. I don't know. Being a Danny, the other night I posted something on your Facebook thing. That's no bullshit. I still have an 8-track player that works.
I saw that. You put the pictures.
That's
on
fucking
there.
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I only have a few tapes. I showed you a picture of 2 of them. McCartney, the first McCartney solo album, and Lennon's Plastic Ono Band.
Oh, wait, that's the one where he's got the baby in his coat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that album, dude.
Yeah, Linda took that picture.
Oh, I love that. I'm a big McCartney fan, so.
You know what? I almost think like he's the one that went down to the crossroads and made a deal with the devil.
Deal with the devil.
Because he's such a genius. I can't believe it. He's still going, you know. His body of work is just it's mind blowing.
Yeah, well, Lennon, as big a fan of Lennon as I am, McCartney was, in my opinion, the better songwriter.
I think he was. I'm a huge Lennon fan. And in fact, I wrote him a letter in 1975, and
Lennon?
he responded. Yeah,
Oh.
he responded with a postcard. He was big on postcards. And I basically said, hey, I just graduated from college. I was thinking about writing your biography. What do you think? And I said, by the way, my wife is a nursing student at Cornell, and her friends have all seen you in Lamaze and this and that. You and Yoko. She was expecting Sean, and the little postcard I got says, "Dear Paul, no thanks," and the hospital was hell. And he draws a little smiley face, and I think calling me Paul was a way of saying, "F you" or something. Because I learned later that she was, had a terrible delivery, and she was really, he thought she was dying. And I've read millions of books on all these guys. And he was like, "Oh, the doctors asked me about the Beatles, and my wife's fucking dying." He was furious. But anyway, so I have that in a frame with my 2 tickets for the only concert he ever did, which was the 1-to-1 concert, a benefit for Willowbrook. It was a state hospital for mentally retarded people. And
so I would have been there.
That's, you wish you know that I heard of it, but that's where Geraldo made his bones. He did a big expose on that place. And that's what sort of made him famous.
Now, there's a guy I have a beef with.
He's an asshole.
Well, when he got started, man, I thought he was this gutsy journalist, man. Because I remember
he's full of shit. He's a suburban kid. He was the counsel for the young lords and all this horse shit. He's a little nerd from Long Island.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Tom.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah. No.
My wife watches.
I remember watching him go out under fire and drag a guy back to protect him during is part of the combat with in Palace.
We got a super chat.
King's Port Cow. Dork knows the police changes everything. Does Tom know anything about Frank Rosenthal or Tony Spilatro, notorious gangsters in Vegas of the 70s and 80s?
Well, I know who they are. I've seen the movie, and that's about it. Except
what movie?
What was the name of it? Casino.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, De Niro's in it, and
yeah. No, okay. I don't know their names.
Yeah, he was Rosenthal.
I've driven by that house a couple times. It's not. It's still there. The house that because they actually shot some scenes in the real house.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. And you know what? A couple of local guys were in that movie. It's a brief, Randy Sutton, who's a Metro cop. Why are you laughing?
Because of the comment. This dude said Dork's house looks downgraded. Is he on the crapper? No, I'm in my bedroom.
It really does look like a bathroom, dude.
Does it really? Okay, no, here. I'm
in here taking a shit. Leave me alone.
My bathroom's in there.
Okay.
It looks like a beautiful bathroom.
Messy room. It is. I got one of those big garden style tubs, and just to since everybody already thinks I'm a big pussy or whatever, or I think he was talking about my cat. I use that tub at least 3 times a week and take nice, relaxing baths.
Yeah,
I
have to get back because I got to tell you, I've forgotten to say hi to everybody this morning.
Oh yeah,
because Danny woke me up. If you guys didn't know, he woke me up, and we had 5 minutes, and I'm like, fuck. So I'm in here just getting to know Tom. That's really what this first half hour has been, is me just getting to know Tom.
I'll tell you a story about that movie. Judge Larry Levitt, yeah, great federal magistrate judge. He's retired now. He's probably the best judge I ever practiced in front of. He told me a story that he had prosecuted Spilatro and the hole in the wall gang. These are the burglars come through the ceiling or whatever. And so he told me that De Niro called him and he said, I'd like to talk to you about this. So Judge Levitt invites him for dinner. And he says, my wife and I made sure we had every possible type of alcohol he could possibly want. And he goes, what do you like to drink? I forget what it was, but it was the one thing they didn't have.
Of course.
And at the same time, Steve Wynn tells me, because I forget what point we were at in his case, kidnapping, that
which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can learn all about on the Vegas Fed podcast, which eventually we'll circle around to and discuss a little bit more.
Yeah,
make sure to put that in the chat, Danny.
Oh, I did. I'll do it again though. Yeah.
Anyway, Wynn tells me, Robert De Niro's staying. He called it in the Michael Jackson Villa, and I have it written down somewhere. I think he said it was like $3,000 a night. He was staying for 3 months while they were doing this movie or something. And I did the math. I'm like, this is insanity. The money these guys have and spend. But so, I sort of circled around all that stuff secondhand, Anyway.
So
hold on. I still got to get back to something here.
Yeah. That's what I was going to remind
One, I got to do my little thank you video for Kingsport Cal. Kingsport Cal, what video am I going to play for you today? One of my favorite Blade Runner videos. Here you go.
You're reading a magazine. You come across a full-page nude photo of a girl.
Is this testing whether I'm a replicant or a lesbian, Mr. Deckard?
I gave you a lesbian video. Yeah, it's not the kind you wanted to watch, though, was it, King?
Can't you be both?
But I want to say good morning to everybody because I really haven't gotten through this yet. First, D. Bud Martin, I saw he was the first person to comment before we even got into the room. Penny was here. Always good morning to you, Penny. Monkey Jeebus, one of my two favorite monkeys. War Monkey is my other favorite monkey. Let's see. Anima Confusa is here. I would like to invite you on today, but I'm just getting to know Tom, and I want to make this a regular thing with you, Tom. I'd like to have you on every Thursday and just tell a story.
Can we do it around noon? Is that possible?
It's a morning show.
It's morning somewhere. Where it's noon.
You got to remember, man. We're 2 hours earlier than you, so
I know. So it's like
I'm calling Tom at like 6:30 in the morning. He's like,
"Are you Pacific time or are you Mountain time?"
We're Pacific.
Oh shit! Then you are 2 hours.
Yeah. We like to think we live on the West Coast instead of on the moon.
Yeah, live out in the middle of fucking Mars. Good morning to Lindsay, the Cynical Geek. Let's see who else jumped in here. Darius Munchausen. It's good to see you. He is the only Munchausen I care to talk to. Let's see. And I have a question with you on that one. Facebook user says you have an echo. That is, of course, Danny. And that's fixed now. That was from earlier. War Monkey, my other favorite monkey, is here. Good morning. Love seeing you guys. Monkey Jeebus says at one point at 10 o'clock, he says, I'm playing NWA, fuck the police right now.
Oh.
I don't know if he is or isn't. He's just doing it to be funny. Some
I'll
asshole
start
named
tracking
Dork
his
Knight.
IP address for you now, Tom.
Yeah. I know some people,
Yeah,
from
and
the
then of course
Bronx.
the lovely Sherry. Very good to see you again. I've been missing you. It's like I always notice when you're not. I notice when any of you guys don't show up. I actually pay attention to my audience, and they're like, if you're a bartender, you get to know your patrons, and that's how I look at these people. They're people I serve drinks to in the morning and tell dirty stories about being in the army too. The Marshal is here. Let's see. Peter Vickman Fansite is here. I'm trying to see if I'm missing anybody. I don't want to. Oh, Mr. Tickle Trunk is here. He is one of my favorite Canadians. He's from the country of Canada. They have funny money up there. It looks like Monopoly money. But he is the biggest supporter of our show. And he's the one who agreed with you, by the way, about George Carlin. being very bitter in the end.
Yeah. Too bad.
I'm trying to scroll through. Bill Barkley is here. What is up, my friend? Jeepers. Come on, guys. Man, there's a lot of chat here. Thanks for letting me know how much chat was here.
Hey, you were having such a good time talking to Tom. I didn't.
Yeah, it's like the whole day got screwed up. I'm just getting to know Tom while we're doing the show. I usually get this stuff out of the way at the beginning. There we go. All right, that's the main. And of course, good to see you again, lovely Sherry. She was my first internet crush. I think is what I called it. My first internet crush because she's gorgeous, Latino.
I knew I liked Enema. She's a bartender. That's my kryptonite right there.
Well, bartenders, it's really funny because she's clearly by her name, Anima Confusa, a psych fan, using that language, that she would be a bartender because some of your best therapists are fucking bartenders. But
speaking of, I hit a milestone today. If I went to meetings, I would have gotten a chip. Today is 30 days sober for me. So cheers.
Well,
congratulations, my friend. I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
well, why don't you go to your meeting?
Because I'm a atheist, and step one of every 12-step program seems to be to give yourself over to a higher power, and then they end it with
that's no excuse because anything can be your higher power.
You know, I don't. Well,
Jim Woodward is
very
the
Christian.
angriest. He's a producer of the show. Jim Woodward, my childhood best friend, is one of the angriest atheists I know, and he goes to AA.
Well, you know what? I think I'm doing fine. I'm 30 days, and
Stick
I
with
have
the program. Follow
no
the steps.
cravings.
It works.
You know,
I don't agree with some of the thing, the philosophical way they approach alcoholism because I see it. I come from a medical background, and my background says that alcoholism is a symptom, not a disease. It is a symptom of something else. Don't know what it is. You need to find out what it is. And once you find out what it is, begin treating that and facing that. And you will conquer.
We have a family member going through inpatient thing, the hospital detox, this and that, blah, 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 blah. And this person argues with everybody and says, I'll go because I know I got to stop drinking, but I'm not an alcoholic. I said, well, it's really all semantics. You're an alcoholic, you're this, you're that, whatever, if this particular person would get up early so he could drink before he went to work. And I said to him, look,
that's dedication.
Whatever you call it, man, you got a problem. Okay. And I like my cocktails, but I don't, when I was working, I never drank during the week.
Yeah. I thought I was Don Draper. People would come. You remember I had that office on Pecos?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a bottle in my in the desk drawer, and depending on the client, if I knew like they were a drinker, I would just like, hey, want a drink? And then we like literally drinking with clients, at 12 o'clock in the
evening. What you need is in all the 50 shows, which I watch, everybody has a little bar in there.
Yeah, the little decanters and
all decanters. Yeah, and always a martini thing to mix, and they got to have a wooden box full of cigarettes.
Yeah,
because everybody constantly chain smokes.
And
drinks.
Man, I tell you, I'm alive in the wrong era. That would have been.
Well, I got
to
tell you, man, growing up like that, because I remember the first time I saw Sabrina. I was an adult working with a company down in Georgia, and my God, I saw that and I'm like, oh, what a great film! But on top of that, I'm like, they have a wet bar in their office. I want that.
Yeah. Not when I was working, I had to be clear-headed. And
I mean, you were the long dick of the law, so you better be clear-headed.
The what?
No.
Long arm of the law.
Arm, man.
Yeah, I prefer the long dick.
Not dick.
Because you were fucking everybody.
Here you go. Here's my response to that one, Danny.
So the long and the veiny of it is.
Well, also I'm Irish, so
yeah,
not sure it fits.
Yeah, it's like somebody says, I hate stereotypes. I said, some stereotypes are true. Irish people drink. It's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was 13. I was riding in the country. I went from Dublin. For the whole weekend, my buddies and I rode bicycles from Dublin down towards the Ring of Kerry, near. It's actually really close to where the castle is, the Blarney Castle, and or Killarney, and the only thing open. It was Sunday. The only thing open was a pub that morning.
Well,
And
you spent 2 years there.
Yeah. So I went rapping on the door and opened it and looked in, and there's this guy behind the bar. And I said, "Hi, are you open? And we're kids. Can we come in?" And he's like, "Stop. If you're tall enough to belly up to the bar, you're old enough to drink here." And I went, "Okay." And I turned to my friends and we went in there, and I had my first Guinness at 13.
Well, I was there for a week with my cousins in Fermanagh. And what surprised me, I won't say it shocked me, it surprised me is, they're farmers. They work all day long till dark. And the one night we went out for a drink, but by the time we got out, it was like 10 or 11. And I think the pub closed an hour later. I mean, on occasions, I guess they get, a little crazy. But if you're a farmer, you got to work your balls off. You don't have time to drink or be hungover. In fact, the one night we did go to a thing, I won't mention the group which sponsored this event, which was in a field in the middle of nowhere, generators, and it's quite secret, quite private. But the farmer, cousin Jim, drank quite a bit and was sick the next day, and he blamed it on all those tins. It's queer about drink, because we were drinking cans of beer instead of tap. So that's what he attributed his illness to, the tins. But this guy, he works like a dog, and it's not like, at least up there, if you're a farmer, it's not like the movies where everybody's. It's kind of a New York thing, or maybe it's more realistic in old New York than in farm country.
Speaking of sponsors and paying our bills, one of the ways I've been able to be pretty successful with my sobriety, and I hope to get a sponsorship from these guys someday. It's too early. I'm not going to drink it now, but this is called Athletic Brewing non-alcoholic craft beers, and they are delicious. And
because some people don't realize that beer's delicious.
Yeah,
and that's one reason why we like drinking it.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this stuff is it's craft beer. It's made with organic products, although I know Gerry will go off on that because everything's organic. And it's get this is the best part. So this particular one is one of their IPAs, and it's got I want to say like 65 calories, no 70 calories, 16 carbs. But their light beer version, which I love, it's got 5 grams of carbs and 25 calories. I mean, come on. And it's delicious. So, and that's Athletic Brewing. Cheap plug. I want a sponsorship. Send me free shit. Thank you.
Put Monkey Jeebus back on there. I'll answer that question because some of us quit drinking.
Yeah.
And even though I'll break down and have a Guinness every once in a while, but I crave the taste of beer. And so I get non-alcoholic beers just so I can have the taste. But every once in a while, I just have to have a Guinness. And I'll drink like 3 pints.
I want to wait at least a year, because it's funny you were talking about, because when I was in rehab getting detox and stuff, they talked a lot about how it was a disease. And nobody ever kind of had your pitch about, or your point of view of it.
Well, it is, because I come from the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a disease. If you work in the medical field and you call alcoholism a disease, you'll get laughed at. It's like, no, it's not. It's a symptom of other things.
And that's interesting, just because like I've never heard of the symptom part, but it's I kind of agree with that, because I've drank since I was 21. I just never drank in excess. I would drink socially. I certainly didn't drink every day. And then
I'm not
it's over a damn girl.
Yeah, with you, Danny, that's all the time because you're always social.
Yeah, one of the side effects of living in Vegas, I guess. But no, my thing, I didn't start drinking heavily. Like I didn't start drinking every day, like from putting whiskey in my coffee to passing out at night from just drinking straight bourbon until I had. It's always about a girl. Until I had my heart broken by a girl, not just broken. She was like a succubus. She just sucked my soul and my life and everything.
Right.
And then poor Cece ended up with the broke down version of me. And one of these days, in a more serious podcast, I'll tell you the funny story about my time in rehab, because now that I'm far enough away from it, a month away from it, it is kind of funny. And I don't remember any of it. I have the accounts from other people because I was plastered when Cece drugged my ass down there. But
yeah, I heard the whole story, buddy.
I laughed at a comment I saw about people are impressed with my wet bar until they find out I'm an alcoholic. It was on the screen. That's why I started laughing, not at your battle with alcohol.
No worries. No worries.
Lindsay, I agree with you. I'm eventually going to, because I have look, I did a bunch of crazy shit in my life. And by the way, you said nerd earlier about Geraldo, and this led to a funny moment in my life because I consider myself a nerd. All my friends are that I grew up with. Sci-fi, we love Star Trek. We talk Star Trek all the time. But I ran into a guy one time and he was fucking with this other nerd in front of me. And I'm a bully's bully. I look for bullies and I like to fuck with them. And this guy turned around to say something to me and I said, oh, I'm a different kind of nerd. I'm the kind that actually likes fighting. and he looked at me for a second. I said, oh, you think I'm kidding? No, I can kill you more ways than you know how to die. So why don't you just keep pushing those buttons and see what happens?
Yeah.
But I wanted to show you something. This is my godfather, Irish-born, Dublin-born Father Weems, Gerald Weems. And I was terrified to tell him that I had lost my faith as an adult. I lied to him consistently through my adulthood. And he called me up and he'd go, Gary, how are you doing, my boy? Oh, I love you. Still believe in Jesus, don't you? Of course, And this is his retirement party right here.
Good for him.
Now, he's going to be 80 this year and still kicking and still fucking Irish as the day is long. Best teller of dirty jokes I ever met in my life. That priest right there.
Well, your nerd story, nerd/bully story. First of all, nerd means something different to me in my generation than
nerds were geek spazzes. Actually, spaz was something that we used as kids. Happy Days kind of brought about nerd.
The best word, the most descriptive word that my generation, when we kids, I can't use anymore because it's very politically incorrect. We would use that word, the F word.
I know what word you're saying.
Not to mean anything.
A cigarette in England, is that what?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. That you would just that's what I mean about Geraldo. But the bully story brings me full circle to the motivation to prosecute, because I believe every criminal is a bully, and they need their ass kicked. And I, as a kid in the Bronx, I had glasses, and I was a nerd, whatever you want to call me. I got picked on and all this. And then I started getting older, and I started getting into, wrestling and this and that. And then I enjoyed kicking many of the bullies in my high school's ass before it was all over. And I mean severely beating them to the point of, my wife thinks I might be psychotic and humiliating them. But I hate bullies, and that's what criminals are.
I totally get it, man.
So you didn't just wrestle; you also played rugby. And if I can embarrass him a little bit, I'm going to share my screen.
I wasn't a very good rugby player, but that was in law school.
Oh, you're so modest. So let me know when you have it up, and I will.
Well, now you're showing our screen. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there's Mr. O'Connell. Do you see my mouse?
Yeah. There
That's
we go.
Tom right there.
Yeah, the guy with the large neck. My buddy Mike O'Hare right in front of me, who also wrestled in college.
Point at it one more time, because
right there.
Me, and that's Mike in front of me.
Oh, that's you.
That's Tom. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah, you got the Irish jawline.
Well,
chin.
All these guys in this picture, not all of them, many, we're all in touch on a group, a Facebook group thing. And we still keep in touch. And speaking of priests, he's not in the picture, but I go to law school and I'm learning about rugby. And I realized somebody tells me, hey, Doyle over there, he's a priest. I said, what? Yeah, he's a priest. He's not a prop like me, It's like sort of being an offensive tackle or something, slow. Anyway, prayers for him, even if you're an atheist, because he's pretty ill right now. But this guy did me a solid. So I meet him at the beginning of law school, we're playing rugby, and I'm getting married to come in January. And I said, listen, Father Doyle, I didn't know you were a priest. I call him Father Doyle now. I said, I'm in a spot. My wife is very involved in her church, and her parents are paying for the wedding. And she's Protestant. I said, and this is going to be like, catastrophic for my family. My grandmother off the boat from Ireland, and all my great aunts. Yeah, I'll come do your wedding. I'll do it with the minister. He flies down in a blizzard, and he had such a busy schedule that he couldn't even make the reception. He just got back on a plane. But we had an ecumenical service. There was a guy there with a Roman collar. So I was saved, great man. He was an aide to the Pope years ago. And we used to write just before internet and all this shit. And I'll never forget the letter he wrote. I'm so excited. The Holy Father has asked me to celebrate Mass with him in his private chapel when my mother visits. And he was and I'm like, man, Doyle, you're just one step away from the man. You know the Pope? Yeah, you hang with the Pope? Jeez, I got to be nice to you. Great guy.
I wanted to get you to tell a story today. At least I'm hoping to, from your career. What I'd like to do is, I don't know. I don't want to go into the kidnapping one because I'd actually like to dedicate an entire episode to that. But do you have what was your first case once you became a prosecutor? What was your first big case? And that would have been while you're in New York, right?
I didn't really have any big cases. You start off in the misdemeanor bureau, and then it's 2 tracks. And the chief assistant also ran the rackets bureau. So if he thought you were good, it was a big compliment to go to rackets, which sucked. It was all white collar shit, bad check cases, whatever.
Right.
The other track that was in a different location, I think it was out in Riverhead, out eastern Long Island, was trial bureau, where you did, burglaries, robberies, eventually homicide. So I didn't like being in rackets. I didn't really have any big cases. I had a funny case. We did a prostitution ring, and these rackets cops were nuts. They were funny, even though they were white collar cases. These guys, some were real sickos. They were funny, and we ordered up all these prostitutes and brought them out and locked them up to Suffolk, and there were 2 drivers or 3 drivers. One of them was this guy Stuart Vagoda. Well, he's Abe Vagoda's nephew. The fish.
No shit.
Yeah. So this one cop, his name was Richie Speck. He's not the serial killer, Richard Speck, but he's tormenting this guy. He's sort of a pudgy, pathetic little, whatever. And he's tormenting him about what he's going to be facing in prison. And of course, wildly exaggerating. Well, Vagoda pukes all over his desk because he's scared shitless. And that's what he does. So next a day or two later, I'm listening to Imus in the morning on the radio, and he's got Abe Vigoda on, and he's breaking Vigoda's balls. So, hey, I heard your nephew's a pimp. What kind of family do you have? You know. Then there was another case where a low-level gangster. This is the only reason it was in brackets. This guy's he
low level basically means like he's a collector or
like a minor thief. Yeah, he steals barbecues. Whatever.
Cigarettes, shit like that.
Truck, on tax. So he gets in a fight with a cop, and he bites the cop's nose off. So most of it. It was the first time I was ever interviewed by a reporter. And I'm just talking to the guy like I don't realize he's going to write this down. And I sound like such a cretin in the article. It's like, Skippy bites the guy's nose off. And, this is swallowed. He spits it out, spits it on the floor, And, my friends broke my chops. What a moron I sounded like. But here's the kicker. The psycho racket cops, they put that nose in a baby food jar and kept it in the refrigerator where they all kept their lunches for years.
Fuck!
And it turned black and the nose hairs kept growing. It was the most disgusting thing. And they had it with their food.
That's horrifying.
That's what these guys are like, man.
So I put something in the private chat because one, Tom is being too modest, and two, I do want him to talk about it so we can generate a little bit of interest in season 1 of his podcast, because a big case you did work on was the Kevin Wynn kidnapping.
Well, I don't want to do that today.
Oh, you don't?
I already said that. Yeah, I said I don't want to get into that because we're already into an hour of this. I'd rather have that be an entire episode.
Oh, okay.
But I need to get back to the chat anyway. The Marshal, I have a question for Tom. Cliche, but here it is. Ever had a case where after it was over, you felt that the decision made was wrong?
Yes. One of the only acquittals I ever got, which was pure, unadulterated jury nullification. The defense counsel was allowed to get away with murder throughout the thing. And this guy came in with a big old hat and a bolo tie, and the lawyer was like, come on, let this cowboy go home. Let him just go home to his ranch or what, shit like that. And they were out for about 20 minutes. They found this guy not guilty. He had confessed. It was a possession of a weapon case. He had confessed to the assistant district attorney who became the DA, David Roger. He confessed to the homicide detective on the case. It was a related homicide. And he confessed to the DA investigator. He gave 3 confessions. Yeah, those are my guns. And they walked on possession of a firearm by a felon. And he was a felon. That's not questioned. So it was pure all this cowboy bullshit. And it really irritated me. That was wrong.
I think he meant, correct me if I'm wrong, the Marshal, but I think he more meant like, have you ever convicted anybody that you later learned that was
you know what? I've told you this before, but we don't have time to prosecute innocent people. We just don't have the, why bother?
Once it gets to your level, that is,
Yeah, you can only do so many cases, first of all, and no, it's not. These guys, they're always guilty. That's why 90% of them plead, 95, whatever.
Right.
And some of my cases in Vegas, the quote unquote big ones that got a lot of press, that's how you define big. The strongest cases, these guys went to trial on, and they rejected offers. Like in the Wynn thing, I offered them all, I think, 12 years. And they went to trial. And the main guy got 24. The next guy got 19. And the third guy cooperated. So we gave him a break, like 7 or something. But I never understood why they would go to trial on these cases that were so strong. And sometimes I think the lawyers just, they knew there'd be press coverage. They wanted the publicity.
Well, maybe it's also like, the arrogance of some of these criminals. They just think they're untouchable.
Yeah. The main guy in Wynn, I think, was an arrogant bastard, and he did not have a very good lawyer. The second guy, I just think his lawyer is now a federal magistrate judge. We had a lot of cases together, and we had a fundamental difference in philosophy where I said, Dan, you got to tell this guy he's going to get his ass kicked, okay? And he's like, you know what? I just communicate the offer, and I don't pressure my guys. It's up to them. And I'm like, you gotta pressure them. Yeah, this is some 20-year-old gangbanger from Gerry, Indiana. You think he understands the nuances of evidence and everything? I just, so he said, no, I don't want 12. We got 7 extra years. Oh, well. He's out now.
I had a question since Gary's out to kind of keep things going. He'll be back. His internet probably went out or something for a little bit. On your website, pissedoffprosecutor.com, shameless plug there. Everybody check it out. You have an article that has to do with the Steve Carell movie, Foxcatcher. I wanted you to kind of get like a brief little, like what does that have to do with you?
Well, I did a TV thing for some show, I forget what it was called, one of these crime things. And it was a sort of a 2-part thing on the DuPont family. And Foxcatcher was John DuPont, was a complete freak, weirdo, and he loved wrestling and wrestlers. So, he's a billionaire.
Ooh, yeah.
And he built a training center of the highest quality for Olympic level athletes, wrestlers, and a bunch of great wrestlers, gold medalists, Olympic gold, national champs.
Oh, you mean real wrestlers, not pro wrestlers?
No, not the fake stuff. No.
Okay.
And
it's the F word.
Which is why my wife watches this show and the 5 on Fox, and they have this fucking guy Tyrus who's a make-believe wrestler, and he actually wears his make-believe championship belt every time he's on. And this is it's him, Geraldo, just assholes and giving their opinions, which are worthless. Anyway, so that's John DuPont. I had a case where a different member of the DuPont family had her son's girlfriend whacked out here. They call it the DuPont murder case out here. We tried it. And the stepfather of Dean McGuigan, who's a DuPont, came out here and solicited a hooker. And she brought along some scumbag boyfriend, and they killed the girl. In fact, there are not 1 but 2 episodes of Law and Order that are clearly that case. Not 1 but 2, and that was the DuPont. So this show featured. I got to go back. DuPont ends up killing Dave Schultz, who was like a great wrestler, national champion. He kills him. He loved guns. He was just nuts. And so there's the Dave Schultz murder, and then there's the murder of this pathetic junkie, who's pathetic junkie DuPont kid's girlfriend. And those are the 2 DuPont cases in this show. That's what's how it's related, if it is. They're just apparently a bunch of inbred. They own Delaware, DuPont Chemical. Blah 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 blah. And
forgive my ignorance, but I doubt I'm the only one. Is DuPont still around? I remember them being huge. Like I haven't really.
Oh, the DuPont family still, yeah.
Even with all this scandal and everything, that's crazy.
I guess there's some still alive, maybe some were not mutants and were able to reproduce. I don't know.
Well, hey, welcome back, Gary. I know
catastrophic failure. Everything crashed all of a sudden. I'm like, well, thanks for doing it right in the middle of the show. Appreciate it.
No, it's fine. I had him.
Thanks, Microsoft.
Talk a little bit about the link with the Foxcatcher movie on his blog, and so we can get back to your conversation.
Let me just. There's another thing about Carell. I think it's on my blog, or a kid I worked with. Peter Coe. Brilliant young lawyer. But he did the DuPont murder trial with me. Him and Matt Perrella. Three of us did it because I had to leave town and all in the middle of it. The judge changed the date on me, he was screwing with me. And anyway, and Matt Perrella, who's the famous prosecutor of Barry Bonds et al., the steroid cases. But anyway, Peter Coe, when he was a law student or a college student, he wrote a column about some TV show that Carell was in, and he was comparing it to an autopsy. He's just a great, hilarious writer as well as a brilliant lawyer, Peter. And Carell ended up getting an Emmy or something, maybe The Office, and he actually mentioned Pete's scathing article in his acceptance speech, where he said, "Yeah, I was compared to an autopsy. That's how bad my show was, according to this guy." Anyway, I just thought it was hilarious that Peter, a college kid, a lawsuit, whatever he was at the time, gets mentioned at an Emmy Awards thing. Great kid, Pete.
Oh, another show gets mentioned here that I was a fan of, Petrocelli.
Was that Judd Hirsch? Judd Hirsch?
No, Petrocelli was, what is his name?
Barry Newman?
Hold on. I got to go look it up. Because that guy, really, his face is stuck in my head. There it is. Yeah, Barry Newman.
Yeah, I knew it was one of those guys.
Yeah, Barry Newman.
I knew it was a Jewish guy playing an Italian.
You mean like James Caan?
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
Yeah. He was pretty good at it, Caan.
I wear the smartwatch King Sport Cal because I had a heart attack in 2016. It monitors my heart rate and other things. So.
Oh, hipster. I see.
Yeah.
Oh.
One of them fancy nerds.
Yes.
But I'd really like to get into more of it with you, but we're down to the last list. Plus, this is the show that lasts as long as my coffee, and it's all gone.
Yes, I read that. Uh-huh.
You know, and I started doing the show because I was really nervous about talking with people. Even though if you knew me, you wouldn't believe that. But the fact is I have anxieties about talking. You know, and started doing the show, and I enjoy it so much. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to keep doing it as long as people keep showing up. And by the end of the day, we'll have had over 100 people watch the show. It's a morning show. I'm surprised that many people watch the show. But with my two managers here, Danny and Martin Acosta Santana, who is Venezuelan royalty by way of Indiana, and I make fun of him. He's got that thick Indiana accent.
Hey, his name's Santana. Come on, he's Puerto Rican, just like Carlos.
Come on, Martin. Come on.
No, Carlos is Mexican.
Martin.
It was just his birthday.
Let's hear that Indiana accent.
My grandfather was. So
your grandfather was what?
Puerto Rican.
Oh,
okay.
I always thought Carlos Santana was Puerto Rican because I lived in New York, and the only Hispanics in New York are Puerto Rican, at least it used to be. And then I found out he's Mexican.
Who?
Anyway, no offense,
Santana.
Carlos. I'm a big fan.
No, he's Puerto Rican.
Is he?
Yes.
Now I'm really confused.
In fact, my grandfather was his uncle.
Get out of here! Really?
Yeah.
Is that why your name is what it is? No? Okay.
I don't understand.
Anima Confusa loves your fake accent. She thinks it's really good. It's not a real accent. He's from Indiana. He does this all the time, tries to sound sexy. I'm Ricardo Montalban, or I'm, what's his name? The
You know,
other
you
big
keep
Spanish
saying that.
actor.
He's very committed then, because when he calls me, it's a Mexico phone number.
No, I'm serious. He does the same thing with me. I'm like, who the fuck is calling me from Mexico? I think he just uses like those fake numbers and gets them.
Maybe he's Irish.
Bill, I really wish.
It's true.
Yes, there you go. Say this line. Say this.
From hell's heart, I spit at thee.
Beautiful.
How about
let's compare
fine Corinthian leather?
Yeah, fine Corinthian leather. There you go. Let's say Corinthian leather.
Corinthian leather.
And now let's listen to the real guy.
I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up.
Yeah, you do sound a lot like him.
It's true.
But
remember Quienes Mas Macho on SNL?
Quienes
Mas Macho? Ricardo Montalban or Fernando Lamas?
Ricardo Montalban.
Fernando.
Nah, Ricardo.
See, I grew up in the 60s and early 70s, so Fernando is like a huge name in my household, especially with my mom. You know, every woman loved Fernando Lamas. And Peter Vinkman Fansite says Irish Mexican. I don't know why you're throwing those words out. Are you trying to say that you're Irish Mexican, or just pointing out that there are Irish and Mexicans in the world? Peter Vinkman Fansite. Yes, I'm making fun of you.
Martine. Oh gosh, yes, Mr. Tickle Trunks. I agree. Let's get that. Come on, Martine.
The thing is, I never saw the Fantasy Island on English. So
That's terrible. That's terrible.
I saw it dubbed.
And we were really doing good in our friendship, and then you had to say that.
I like the fact that he changed the title of the show to The Fantasy Island. He never saw The Fantasy Island. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't even
Get a kick out of that.
Welcome to Fantasy Island. There you go. Ratha Martin. Well, we are wrapping it up, Tom. I've really enjoyed having you on, and
yeah, thanks.
I hope you really will do this with us every Thursday.
Well, I don't know about every Thursday, but you know.
Well, I'm going to
get some sleep.
Hopefully, you brought your laptop, because I was going to teach you how to do this from your place. So you don't have to trek out to mine. You know.
Okay. As I was racing out of the house, Elise says, "Do you need your computer?" I go, "Nah," and I was in a hurry, so.
Well, now you got to come back. Yeah, we were supposed to work on some stuff for your site, man. Shit.
Oh, all right. I'll come back.
All right.
Another time of day.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Just curious. One of my other favorite lawyer films is a film called Fish Called Wanda. You ever see it?
I know I saw it, but I barely remember it.
Kevin Kline is one of the best characters. He deserved the Oscar for that film. For delivering.
He's a good actor. I like him.
This scene, because when he says each one of these things, he looks at something specific to identify with the word that he chose. And that's how genius he is. There we go. Let's nail it.
You pompous, stuck-up, snot-nosed, English, giant, twerp, scumbag, fuck-faced, dickhead, asshole.
Twerp. Now that's one we used.
Twerp was also popular
when I was a kid. Yeah, twerp.
Yeah, because I don't think nerds started really coming into play until the 80s. And it was because of Happy Days.
I didn't realize that.
Spaz was another one we heard a lot of, because they were talking about a very specific kind of nerd. The nerds that had the tape between the glasses, had the
that was me.
pack, I
always broke my glasses. I always had them taped up. In fact, on movie night, my father would show 8mm films for the latest family event. I would come down the stairs on one occasion, and I had them just balanced on my nose and I'm sitting and trying not to move. And at one point, of course, I flinch, and they two halves fall, and my father starts screaming at me. And anyway, yeah, I had a rough childhood.
Not Ironhide, Bill. It was Ironside. He wasn't a lawyer. He was
a cop, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a former police chief.
It's Raymond Burr.
And he got shot by a sniper, paralyzed from the waist down. But it was Perry Mason who you're thinking of, because the same actor, Raymond Burr.
Yeah.
And Raymond Burr introduced legal drama to television. And I like the fact that they worked their butts off to try to use actual jurisprudence language. And actually, because it was the first time you ever heard a prosecutor turn and say something to the defense attorney about your turn to cross-examine. And they would get into, what you could ask the witness and what you couldn't ask if they were the prosecuting witness or if they were a defense witness. And that's where the objections would come into play so often.
I watched some show the other day, I forget what it was, some movie, and the prosecutor calls the defendant as a witness. I was like, what world does this happen in? There's a Fifth Amendment privilege. The prosecutor can't call him as a witness. Anyway, it was just so stupid. I forget which one it was. But let me say this. I never watched Perry Mason. I think it may be the best theme music of any television show.
Oh, yeah. One of the greatest noir themes ever written.
I love that. Was this guy named Errol Garner or something? Is that who wrote that?
I can't remember. I can't remember. But I've my band has played it when I was, because I'm a drummer, keyboardist, and many a times played that theme just by my request. Because I'm like, man, I want to play that tonight. I get a hankering for that. It's very jazzy, also noir.
Yeah.
But we're going to call it quits today. Tom, I want to thank you for being on here.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being on here. And I really do. The next time we have you on, I want to go into detail of that kidnapping case.
Yeah. And for those of you who are interested, please check out vegasfed.com. That's the podcast website. And if you would like to read Tom's musings or rants or op-eds or, things like that, check out pissedoffprosecutor.com.
All my offensive views, which once I retired and got my First Amendment liberties back, I just was spewing quite a bit of bile.
A little bit of vitriol, was it?
Yeah, just a little. Not really that bad.
But hey, can I have my list, Martin? I want to say bye to everybody properly.
Bye, Mom.
Goodbye, Mrs. Fatbeard.
Thank you, Martin.
I want to thank people I'll let get away with still calling me Fatbeard, by the way.
Yeah. I want to thank Anima Confusa for being here, Bill Barkley, Brightest Day, Darius Munchausen, the best of the Munchausens, D. Bud Martin, Floral from Under a Rock was here. I didn't get to say hi to him. Good friend of mine. We're doing some music together. Kingsport Cal, our good friend from Tennessee. Lindsay the Cynical Geek is here. Monkey Jeebus. Mr. Tickle Trunk. Penny, of course, that is your mom. The lovely Sherry. I need to have that 60s Batman sexy woman theme that he would always play when one of the sexy femme fatales would be on. Whenever I say lovely Sherry's name. The Peter Venkman fan site. The Marshall with one L, which is reminiscent of William Marshall, who's came from the long line of the Marshalls of England. And of course, my other favorite monkey, War Monkey. Best kind of monkey in the world is a war monkey. Because
I like Mickey.
Mickey. Oh, they're my favorite monkeys, and because I'm a big monkey fan.
He's the only one left, I think, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
He's the last one out.
I'm a huge Monkees fan.
And he got away with all those murders.
I actually got to see the Monkees perform at Carowinds in North Carolina when I was in high school, and they were still doing stuff.
You lucky prick. I would love to have seen that.
I saw them outside of Sunset Station.
Oh, wow.
And I had a big Suburban at the time. I put all my kids on I don't want to pay, so I was in the highest part of the parking lot. I put them on the roof, as well as my 125-pound German Shepherd. And we were all up on the roof watching the Monkees.
For those who don't know, Sunset Station is a casino here.
Oh, yeah.
in Vegas.
So you're a much better dad than me, because like when I got to meet a big rock star, my kids were in the way and I knocked them all down to get to him. No, I'm just kidding. I never did that.
Well, listen, you said you're a big McCartney fan, right?
Yeah.
He played at the Silver Bowl here in Vegas. It's a stadium. UNLV used to play there, the football team. So I loaded all the kids. By then we had the van, and I drove up on the curb outside the Silver Bowl. It's an open air stadium, and I slid the door open, and my kids got to hear Paul McCartney for free.
Oh, hell yeah. That is nice.
I'll never forget, he started with Drive My Car. Yeah.
That's class.
I've brainwashed them. They all love the Beatles and the Beach Boys.
I consider that important, though, to raise your kids on good quality music, not just the bubblegum crap they listen to. My daughter was raised on the Beatles, Pink Floyd, the Police, Sting. Yes, she listened to a lot of prog rock growing up. The Who. So my daughter is very versatile in her music, and oddly, her favorite song of all time was performed by Peter Gabriel, and the boy came to me that wanted to ask her to prom. Says, he says, I want to ask her, but I want it to be really special. I said, if you want to make it special, you son of a bitch, play Book of Love by Peter Gabriel when you ask her out. And I got it on video. She was crying. I'm like, there you go, you lucky son of a bitch.
They recorded in Abbey Road Studios. They were all friends with the Beatles.
Oh, man.
You know that? Pink Floyd? Yeah.
Pink Floyd, big fan. But hey, we're going to wrap this shit up. I want to thank everybody for being here. Mr. Tickle Trunk. Raise your kids on Johnny Cash, of course, Johnny Cash, all the time. Beatles are meh. My parents love doo-wop. Look, doo-wop's fine, but Beatles meh? Are you fucking kidding me? One of the single most influential
I'm pretty sure
rock
Awesome
bands of all
One
time.
is trolling. He's kind of been trolling the whole show. So
yeah, Awesome One. Imagine that, him trolling.
Yeah.
And I want to thank all of you all for watching today. And here's your video for enjoying the show today. Fuck y'all, I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to watch Orville. Yeah. Do we have another episode of Operator? I thought that was the finale last week.
Y'all come back now, you hear?